Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm just going to jump right into the story, so we can maybe get this done a little quicker than usual. Hi guys, apologies for the delay in getting this post up. Events conspired against me, it seems. Please let me know if you have any information. The left-right game, Draft 1, 13/2/2017. I'm followed back from the junction by an overturn of birdsong. I'm grateful for the company. In the wake of Clyde's departure, I'm welcoming of any sound that distracts me from my own solitary footsteps, grasping for any conceivable antidote to the palpable silence he's left behind. I am not, however, as welcoming of what the shrill melodical warbling presents, the first symptoms of impending daybreak. I'd only been up at this hour a few times before, stumbling back from Niger Street and down Sweet Market after an unexpectedly heavy night out. My housemates Molly, Craig, and Tom would spend the walk joyously discussing the evening's scandals, leaning against one another as we all stumbled away from a night of horrific excess. This time around, the circumstances couldn't be more different. I'm quite alone as I make my way up the road, and the only excess in my night has been a relentless torrent of stress and melancholy. There is one similarity, however, resting in the back of my mind as much now as it did then, the nagging feeling that the day ahead will be one of bitter and imminent consequences. As somber as the night has been, I still find myself clinging to it, reluctant to witness the harrowing developments that sunrise will bring. In a few hours' time, the convoy will wake up to find they have suffered yet another loss. It won't be the brutal, heart-wrenching feeling that they experienced with Eva or Apollo or Bonnie, who perished in front of our eyes, but a muted sensation of gross unfairness, less immediate, yet all the more insidious. As much as we hate to face the horrors in our lives, it can be far worse when they strike us without our knowing. To find out only the next morning that you have been affected by cruel forces acting in complete disregard of your presence and taking without concern for you. It's not going to be a pleasant morning. Nevertheless, I'm glad to see the convoy when it finally comes into view. The whole irregular rests by the roadside like an old relic. Right now, I can think of nothing more comforting than climbing into the secure, rugged shelf for a moment. I find it strange how an object built for transit has become the one fixed point in my world. Then again, it's not exactly the strangest thing that's happened on this road. Blue Jay's car is parked sideways on laid out across the tarmac. The windows are shrouded in darkness, yet for the briefest moment I think I see the red dot of a smoldering cigarette igniting behind the glass, glowing momentarily before dropping out of sight. I fix my eyes on the regular and keep walking, resolved to ignore the ominous flicker of embers, and attempting to ignore its uncomfortable implications. Even still, I shudder to think of the grim conclusions that are being drawn within the electric smoke-filled echo chamber. I rest my hand on the Jeep's passenger side door, pausing briefly to gauge the sun's progress. I probably have less than 2 hours before I'll be expected to step over that not-searched horizon to let Rob carry me into unknown territory, onto the unexplored section of the left-right game. Whatever lies at the end of this ordeal could very well be 2 roads over, then again, it could take a whole lot longer. I suppose there's only one way to find out. I climb quietly into the car and gently position myself next to Life. It's cramped, and now that she's had the space to move around, it takes a modicum of contortion to properly lay down, but it still feels more comfortable than the prospect of resting on the open space that had been reserved for Clyde. For tonight, at least, it would feel like a little too much like resting on a fresh grave. The morning does come quicker than I'd like. Surprisingly, once I'd awake from a blissfully dreamless sleep, I realize I'm not tired at all. Perhaps it's going to hit me later in the day, or perhaps the need for sleep is yet another casualty of the road's odd sustaining quality. It's unsettling to think that the road is exerting some metamorphic influence over me, however convenient the effect. After losing most of my need to eat and drink, and now starting to require less rest, I can't help but feel that something wants us to continue on the road, removing everything else that might distract us from the journey. It's a notion that intrigues and terrifies me in almost equal measure. When I open my eyes, I find myself staring directly at Life, who has turned to face me in the night. I can tell she's already awake, quietly resting her eyes, understandably reluctant to face the morning without someone at her side. A.S. Hey, Life. Hey, good morning. A.S. How'd you sleep? Life. Yeah, not too bad. This place isn't so comfortable. A.S. Yeah, you get used to it. A moment of silence passes between us. I'm already aware of the empty space on the other side of the Jeep, hidden just beyond the pile of luggage and jerry cans. It would be easy for me to act surprised at Clyde's absence, to say that I had slept through the night, to throw myself into a fruitless search effort, and to release the truth alongside everyone else. Part of me wants to avoid the weight of recent events, to step aside and let all blame fall against the road. Yet even if I wanted to, I know it wouldn't be right. I'm not going to contribute a new set of secrets into this journey. Anyway, for all I know, Blue Jay saw me return from the junction. I wouldn't want to give her the satisfaction of catching me in a lie. If I am going to tell them what's happened, then the conversation will need to happen immediately, certainly before they have a chance to discover Clyde's absence themselves. The words don't come easily. They're impossible to form into a delicate order, and I quickly realize that any attempt is just delaying the inevitable. In the end, all I can bring myself to say is, yes, Clyde's gone, Life. It takes a few seconds of quiet comprehension before Life sits bolt upright, alarmingly peering over the luggage to Clyde's side of the Jeep. Life. Rob! A.S. Life? Rob, what's going on? Life. Something took Clyde! Rob is suddenly wide awake as he twists around to view the back section of the Regular. I can see the realization dawn on his face as he understands what happened. He turns back around and fumbles with the ignition. His eyes in the rear view are burning with desperate intention. He still thinks he can catch up with Clyde before he crosses the threshold. Rob. Nothing's taken him, Life. Hold on. A.S. Rob, he's gone. Rob. We don't know that. We just gotta... A.S. Rob, he's gone. He's already past the junction. Rob's eyes flick into the rearview mirror, meeting mine. The engine stays running as he turns around to face me. Rob, how do you know that? The urgency is drained from the car, replaced instead by a palpable air of inquiry. Life and Rob are both looking at me intently, and for the first time on the road, I feel like a figure of legitimate suspicion. A.S. I was with him when he crossed over. Life. What the fuck? What was that? A.S. Last night about 4 a.m. he said that he... In response to my word, Rob swings the driver's side door open and leaves the Regular. I watch him march out into the center of the road, his entire body tense and strained by a swell of anger. I quickly climb out behind him. Rob. God damn it! Damn it, Bristol! Why the hell did you let him... A.S. You weren't there, Rob. Life. We were fucking yards away, Bristol! You didn't think to wake us up? A.S. Of course I did. He told me not to. Life. Oh, okay, well that's just fine then, isn't it? A.S. He'd made his decision, Life. None of us were going to stop him. Life. Well, I certainly wouldn't have let him just fucking kill himself. You tied Bonnie to the fucking headrest, but you let Clyde waltz over the road without even telling us? Yes, that's a false equivalency. Like, a false... Are you serious? Yes, of course it is. Bonnie wasn't herself. Clyde was capable of making an informed decision. Like, his sister just died. Of course he wanted to join her. That doesn't mean you let him fucking die. You might as well have helped him blow his fucking brains out. Rob, Lithe? Rob speaks this name harshly, forcing its owner to immediate silence. After letting the group breathe for a moment, he speaks calmly. Rob, Bristol? You are sure that there was nothing we could do? I looked Rob in the eyes. Words hit me harder than light and passionate tread. Standing before both of them at the intersection of their extinct stares, I feel the first inkling of doubt creep into my mind. What would have happened if we'd talked to Clyde back into the regular? If Rob had forced him to stay? Could he have found some reason to move forward if we had kept him for the night? A day? A week? All I could do was hold my recollection of the night before, reminding myself of the sense of calm, friendly, and radiant from Clyde when I'd confronted him. All I could do is trust that I made the right call. Yes, no, there wasn't. Rob, okay, well there ain't nothing more to say. Rob walks over to the back of the regular, cutting the conversation short, though the quiet resumption of his usual morning routine. Lithe storms back into the car and shuts herself inside. I'm left standing in the center of the road, wondering if I could feel any more wretched. Blue Jay, I know what you did. Well, at least that answers my question. It seems that while I had been struggling to defend the validity of my actions to Rob and Lithe, Blue Jay had been very quietly climbing out of her car, waiting patiently for the rest of the convoy to scatter before directing a vicious smile towards me. A.S. Can we not do this, Blue Jay? She responds to my words by ignoring them completely. Blue Jay, I was right. Blue Jay, I was up in the night, watching you all. What a surprise when I saw you leave with Clyde and come back alone. Calm as fucking grave. I don't know if Clyde was in on your little game, but he sure wasn't fucking happy with how far you taken it. He had to go, didn't he? I don't want to dignify her words with a response. In point of fact, I'm not entirely sure what I'd say to such an absurd accusation. Her statement rings with all the trademarks of paranoid conspiracy, the unnatural confidence, the vague language, the frantic conclusions, which are so obvious to her, yet seem so impossible for me to grasp. In the end, Blue Jay doesn't wait for me to respond. Blue Jay, I just want you to know that I'm not falling for your fucking game, but you will not turn me around, and if you try anything like that with me, I will fucking kill you. I stared at the woman before me, her pupils two dark pools of venom. Her smile curled into a crooked smirk of unalterable contempt. A.S. Why did you talk to the hitchhiker, Blue Jay? A.S. Why didn't you talk to the hitchhiker, Blue Jay? Blue Jay brows furrow, the smirk degrading from her face. I don't wait for her response. A.S. I mean, now that you've seen what happens to people who spoke to him, it's fair to assume you didn't, or am I wrong? Blue Jay presses her lips firmly together, glaring at me, the veins on her temples imposed against her taut skin. A.S. It's all right, Blue Jay. I was scared, too. I walked to the back of the regular, where Bob has pulled out the stove and 4 camping chairs. After helping him set them up in the middle of the road and allowing him to cook me a bowl of steaming hot rice, I sit down next to him and eat what I can. We can't think of anything to talk about, and the 2 remaining chairs stay empty for the rest of the meal. When I climb back into the regular, Lithe seems quiet. She's not just angry now, and as I've seen her before, it's now being forced to confront the feelings her fury have been overshadowing. She stares and looks at me in the rearview mirror, a look of being genuinely lost. I find myself reflecting the same expression as I stare back at her, and in that small sliver of glass, I think we both find a glimmer of understanding. An understanding that there have been no easy choices on this road, and that we should forgive each other, ourselves, for the decisions we have had to make. After all, I wouldn't be surprised if there are harder choices ahead. It takes us less than an hour before we reach the woods. The drive has been predictably furtive conversation. However, as the cornfields merge into a deeper green woodland, and the thin openings we're supposed to take draws nearer, Rob breaks the silence with the customary all cars address. Rob, ferryman, all cars. Just want to say it's an honor taking this next corner with you all. From here on out, we move slow, report anything unusual, and stay on the lookout for the next turn, okay? All right, here we go. Rob twists the steering wheel. We turn in a slow, deliberate arc towards the gate in the forest. The tarmac disappears below us, giving way to rough dirt track. Towering legend of knotted trees eclipse the convoy, the sun all but disappearing behind their thick canopy. The significance of the small turn in the road isn't lost on me. We had finally crossed the threshold into the unknown reaches of the left-right game. For all we knew, we were the first people to ever have come this far, the first explorers of the entirely uncharted world. I was surprised when I realized I'd been holding my breath. I examined my companion closely. Light isn't even looking out the window. Lost in her own tremendous thoughts, Rob is reacting exactly as I expected, looking out of every window with the air of mystified wonder. Rob, well, I'll be. This is beautiful, ain't it? As I looked away from him back at the windshield, I found myself smiling. Even after the stressful morning we've all had and the uncertain day that lies ahead of us, Rob's statement rings with a joyous sincerity which I can't help but appreciate. I also can't help but agree with him. In its own eerie way, it's a beautiful place. The regular moves to a crawl for the rest of the day. The woods are vast and untremented. Thin, sweeping branches hang lazily over the road, clattering against the light rig as we pass beneath them. Many of the trees stand at strange, crooked angles as their various disparate inclines, making it impossible to see too far in either direction. Rob spends every moment scanning the sides of the road. The trees that flanked us are so thick, so tightly packed together, that it's easy to know an upcoming turn. I suspect Rob simply doesn't want to take any chances, paranoid as he is about the road's respective qualities. He needn't have worry. There are only 4 turns across the entire afternoon. Each one is identified far in advance and navigated perfectly. Before I know it, we've entered the early morning with no discernible end to the woods in sight. We've been traveling uphill for a short while, platooning onto a thin stretch of road, the endless expanse of forest to our left, and the dangerously steep bank to our right, with one less side of the road to look out for. Rob seems a little more comfortable holding a conversation. A.S. So what are you going to do if you get to the end of the road? Rob, document it. Bring it home. Hand it over to the world. A.S. And after that? Rob, I guess I might take a vacation. Maybe I should visit London. Would you show me around? A.S. You've never been to London? Rob, just pass by carrying packages. Never liked cities so much. Trying to stay out of them when I can. I'd go if I'd had a tour guide, though. A.S. Okay. Well, that's my next story then. Rob Gruthert takes on London. Rob, I don't think folk would want to listen to that. A.S. I don't know. I think people would tune in. Or are you just worried you'll grow to like the place? Rob, Junior would have never let me hear the end of that. A.S. Fair enough. Wait, sorry? Rob, my son wouldn't let me forget it. He's always been a city boy. I stared out into the pitch-black forest, suddenly thinking back to my arrival in Phoenix, Arizona, just 5 days before. I recollect my favorite meeting with Rob Gruthert and how I'd been treated to the previous overview of his life. I hadn't pushed for too much detail, wanting to hear the story in his own words and under the assumption that I could get more background after the short stint on the road. After 4 days of intrigue and horror trust, I haven't had time to follow up. In all honesty, it's only now that I think back on it and I realize just how little ground we covered in our first interview. How eager he was to skip past the formal details of his existence. I didn't know the names of his ex-wives or anyone who wasn't directly involved with his works with the paranormal. For example, I didn't know he referred to his son as Junior, often used as a general nickname for a child. It can ever so often mean something much more specific. A.S. Does your son share your name? Rob turns to me confused. Rob, yeah? Did I never? Life, look out! Rob snaps forward as a fleeting blur darts across the road, before trundling down the steep verge to our right. Over the engine we can hear the rustle and thuds as it disappears on the steep hillside and into the deep forest below. A.S. What was that? Was that a deer? Rob. That's what it looked like. It went straight off the edge. Why would it do that? Rob. Ain't too bright is all. A.S. Guys, can we get moving? I'm interrupted by the sound of faint reveling, emanating from the road on the left side of the road. Life. What is that? Rob. We ain't waiting around to find out. Rob kicks the car into gear and pulls down the track. Less than 5 seconds later, he slams on the brake once more, salting the car as a small group of 3 or 4 deer burst out in front of us. A few more can be heard skittering behind the regular, slamming against the back of the Jeep as they hurriedly negate the gap between us and Blue Jay. As Rob works to restart the car, I stare out of the window and into the floors, finally aware of what I'm hearing in the trees. The thunderous sound of hoofs stamping against the earth, brushing past the undergrowth, snuggling over rocks and branches on their way towards us. In no time at all, the forest erupts from empty darkness into chaotic, violent life, as an unbroken horde of frenzied deer bursts out from the trees. Rob tries to tell us to hold on, but he doesn't have time. The path ahead floods with hundreds of stampeding deer, an unbroken torrent that blocks the headlights' beam. Life jumps back from the passenger door. A deep thudding knell vibrates through the regular. The deer, locked in a desperate sprint with the little space to maneuver, are running headfirst into the side of the car. With one of the smaller deer bolts out into the forest and hits the deep green metal just below my window, the river shaking up the glass. I think it hears its next step. The ones that get past the car aren't faring better, locked in a frantic state and forced along by their equally desperate characters. I can only watch as they spill over the edge of the steep hillside. Countless bodies crash into the darkness, carried down into what I can only assume is a quickly developed of mass grave of twisted, interlocking bodies. Life. Rob, get us out of here! Rob. We ain't moving though. Just stay down. Blue Jay. What the fuck? Is somebody helping? Blue Jay sounds terrified. The regular is taking a beating from the onslaught of desperate creatures, but it's still managing to hold firm. When I look back to Blue Jay, I can see a different story entirely. The car is lying at an angle, pushing towards the edge of the hill by the sheer force of the herd's collective impact. The passenger side is on display, riddling with slick red marks and heavy collateral dents. The creatures rush past her, clumsily clambering over the road and hammering onto the door of the car. Blue Jay screams into the receiver, placing a hand over her eyes as one of her front tires passes over the edge. The car's chassis dropping down into the dark. Luckily for her, when I turn back to the forest, I can see it's emptied dramatically. The flood has subsided, and the last few deer are pelting through the trees and across the road, their position at the back of the herd providing them with more than enough space to maneuver around the convoy. Rob, Ferryman to Blue Jay, get yourself over here, we gotta go now. Blue Jay, what the fuck was that? What the fuck? Rob, it was just a herd of deer, Blue Jay, but they were running pretty hard, and I ain't looking to whatever they were running from. We don't have time to get back on the road. We don't have time to get you back on the road. Now get over here, now! Nothing more can be heard from Blue Jay's radio except for the static and a few intermittent gaffs of breathless fear. Rod, oh, god damn it, stay in the car, you two. Lythe, hand me the rifle. I ain't taking any chances out here. Lythe finds the rifle and hands it over to Rob, grabbing some supplementary ammo from the glove compartment. Rob climbs out and slams the door, marching through the dirt to Blue Jay's ruined car. I clamber into the back of the regular, struggling over a pile of empty jerry cans and surveying the scene as it unfolds. In almost a hallucinatory effort, Rob wrenches the passenger side door open and holds his hand out for Blue Jay to take it. I look on as she unbuckles her seatbelt, climbs out unassisted, and immediately launches herself at Rob, crying her eyes out and lashes at his chest with two clenched fists. She looks distraught, terrified, and violently angry. Rob stands there and takes it, whispering vaguely assurance to her as she unloads her terror and frustration into every welling blow. Lithe, come on, Blue Jay, we gotta go. Lithe talks under her breath, willing Blue Jay's character to speed itself along. I look at her, silently sharing her impatience. Then something catches my eye, something in the distance behind Lithe, slowly making its way through the trees. Turn around and scramble to the front of the car, turning the radio transceiver. AS, Rob, get back here! There's something in the forest! Hearing my warning crackle out from Blue Jay's car, Rob turns to my direction before ironically staring into the forest where a pale figure is winding its way towards the pair. From what I can ascertain, as briefly leaves the obscuring undergrowth seems to be small, tremendously thin, and crawling unevenly on its hands and feet. The creature stops in a clearing ahead of Rob and Blue Jay, in view of me and Lithe, but shrouded from everyone in the shadow of the forest. Blue Jay separates from Rob, pulling a hand torch out of her bag, slowly and with trembling finger as she points the beam towards the creature and switches it on. The results light is incomprehensible. The flame instantly illuminates the light frame of a thin, almost emaciated child. It's barely over a year old. Deathly pale, covered in dirt, skin stretched taut over frail limbs, stares up at Blue Jay, reflectively holding one arm over its eyes to shield itself from the bright LED light. Oh my god, what's happening to it? I know exactly what Lithe's talking about. My hand raises to my mouth as I watch the child struggle through the stream of harsh white light. And with every step it takes, the child's form starts to shift and change, slim and elongate, in jagged, lurching spurts of growth. Anything exposed to the beam develops with grotesque rapidity as the child is aging before our eyes. Letting out a tortured cry, the creature darts towards Blue Jay, angrily swatting the torch from her grip. Blue Jay screams in shock and pain as she holds her stricken hand. Her attention turns fixed on the child, who has seemingly aged almost 3 years in a matter of seconds. Even in the fresh darkness, with her head torched fractured on the ground, I can tell that Blue Jay is paralyzed with an abject, consuming horror. Rob doesn't hesitate. He reflectively grabs Blue Jay and pulls her backwards onto the path of her headlights. The creature reaches out for them as they go, one hand passing after them into the light. It pulls back quickly, its eyes full of heart-wrenching juvenile tears. The fingers of its left hand age beyond the rest of its body. It cries begin anew. The ghastly as it seems, the child doesn't seem malevolent or demonic. In fact, as I look back towards Blue Jay, it seems genuinely upset, unable to comprehend the actions of those around him. As it stares sorrowfully back at those nearly malformed fingers, it's not much of a stretch to assume the transformations are as painful to endure as they are disturbing. Rob, stay in the light, Blue Jay. Keep moving. Blue Jay breaks away from behind Rob and sprints towards the regular. As soon as she brings to flee, the child lets out a high-pitched scream and strikes the hood of Blue Jay's car. The impact of the blow is impossibly forceful. In less than an instant, the casket crumbles into a mass of jagged metal. The one remaining headlight disappears from view as the car is launched off the path and rolls into the valley below. With Rob and Blue Jay now returned into the darkness, the child skitters quickly towards Blue Jay, grabbing her foot as it lifts off the ground and yanking it backwards. With all of her momentum immediately halted, one foot taken out from her beneath her, Blue Jay has nowhere to go but down. She slams into the earth, her chin bouncing off a sharp rock. Blue Jay looks up with the stunned, pleading eyes. Lithe and I have only a few seconds to meet her gaze before she is dragged backwards along the ground. She screams in pain, her ankle caught in the child's iron grip. It doesn't even break pace as it walks back towards the woods, pulling Blue Jay along like a rag doll. Rob reaches out for her, snatching a Blue Jay's hand as she writhes and thrashes against an unstoppable force. They connect, brief, but Rob's effort to keep a hold on her is futile, dashed immediately as she is pulled effortlessly from his hands. Blue Jay resorts to clawing at the ground, dragging thick, dark soil and pulling loose rocks free from the dirt. Rob suddenly unstraps his rifle, swinging it around to his front, and reaches the breast pocket of his jacket and chambers a single bullet. Blue Jay looks on as Rob raises the rifle to his shoulder and aims for the back of the oblivious child's head. Lithe, oh God! Lithe turns away from the window, cowering away from the instantly outside the car. I can barely watch myself as Rob places his finger on the trigger. The shot never comes. Blue Jay shrieks as the child reaches the tree line, pulling her into the undergrowth. Rob's hands are shaking, unable to do what is needed to be done. Cursing loudly in the air itself, Rob lets the rifle fall into the ground. He stands immobile as Blue Jay's screams continue to emanate through the woods. The expression has been worn by everyone on the road. Like all of them has no longer present, lost to a realm of hopelessness and bewilderment. But unlike many others, he doesn't stay that way for long. Unlike the rest of us, Rob Gruthers manages to bring himself back. Rob, Bristol, there's a torch in the green bag. Get it now. I don't have time to hesitate. I score the contents of the regular desperately. Blue Jay's screams growing increasingly distant with every passing second. Locating the large green bag in the far corner, I crawl across the regular, unfasten the straps, and spill its contents onto the car. The heavy-duty LED torch clangs against the cabin floor as I snatch it up before it can roll away. Turning to Rob, I swing back over the doors and jump out onto the dirt track, throwing the torch towards Rob's outstretched hands. As soon as he catches it, Rob sprints out into the forest, leaving me and Lithe behind. The events that unfold among the trees are told us in a sound of delight. After almost a minute of silence, the torch's rays burst through the trees. Blue Jay's distant screeching intensifies as the child breaks into a gut-wrenching cry. Large crash echoes through the night air. The sound of barking crackles as the very trees shatter into splinters. The light dances chaotically as Rob lets out a catharic-damaged roar. Suddenly, the child's distant wailing grows more distant, retreating deep, deep into the woods. Then suddenly, silence. Lithe, Bristol, what's happening? Yes, I don't know. Stay in the car. We wait for what seems like an age, lost in worry, but before the gentle rustling of undergrowth calls our attention back to the tree line, a moment later Rob emerges from the tree, holding Blue Jay's arms around his shoulder. Lithe, oh thank God, oh thank God. The bear stumbles over to us slowly and painfully. Blue Jay walks with a limp. Her ankle is already horribly bruised. Rob sports a series of cuts across his face, but seems otherwise unharmed. He calls back to us, utterly exhausted. Rob, nothing to it. An irresponsible smile grows across my face, a pained grimace of sincere joy. I raise a hand to my mouth, and tears of relief and start to roll down my cheeks. It's a brief, fleeting moment in an otherwise dark night, but for once we've managed to pass through the storm, battered and unbroken, but at the very least still together. Blue Jay falls into the floor, slipping free of Rob's grip and unable to hold her own weight. Rob turns around to look for where she's fallen and finds her crawling slowly towards the steep verge. Rob, Blue Jay, Dennis, you okay? Blue Jay stops crawling, places her hand on the ground, and rises unsteadily. I suppose she can stand on her own after all. When she's finally upright, she's turned back to Rob, raises his rifle back towards Rob, raising his rifle to her shoulder and fixing it on his torso. My smile vanishes. Rob, Dennis, what are you? Put it down. Blue Jay, it was a child, Rob. It was a child. What did you? Lithe, oh my God, Bristol, what's happening? Yes. Stay in the car, Lithe. Rob, Dennis, you seen it just as much as me. You saw what it did. Blue Jay, it tore it broke my skin. Why are you doing this? Rob, Dennis, You know what you saw, okay? You know this is real. We ain't doing this to you. It's happening to all of us. It's... Rob stares at Blue Jay and then down to the rifle. The sight's boring into his chest. Rob, okay. How about we turn the car around? Right now. I'll turn us around and we'll take you back home. And I'll drop you off outside the tunnel. Safe and sound. I just want to get you home safe. What do you say? Blue Jay looks into Rob's eyes. The rifle quivers in her hand. We all wait, scarcely taking a breath for Blue Jay's response. Blue Jay. I don't believe you. The shot echoes around us. Rob falls to his knees, a look of surprise and disbelief carved into his face. The fume of dark red blossoms around his shoulders. There's no air in my lungs. My entire body is paralyzed by the shock, by the rank unfairness, the sheer impossibility of the scene before me. I don't understand how it could be possibly happening. Like, oh my god, no! Blue Jay quickly passes up to Ross, snatches a handful of ammunition from his breast pocket, and reloads the rifle with practiced efficiency. She stops shaking. In fact, there's a confluence to her movements which convinced me with shocking immediately that I might be about to die. I dive back into the regular, slamming the door shut behind me, find life gripped by an immediate and involuntary shell shock. Yes, we need to go, Life. We need to go, okay? Life, I don't understand. Blue Jay, get out of the car, both of you. I'll kill him. I will kill him. Life, do you think she's gonna kill us too? Yes. No. She was going to shoot Rob in the chest, but she aimed away last minute. She's just bargaining. Life, bargaining? Yes. She wants us out of the car. I think she's going to take the regular. Life, if she leaves us here, we'll all die anyway? Yes, I know. Life, well, we can't fight her. One of us will. Blue Jay, get out of the fucking car. Both of you. I want your hands where I can see them. Yes, it's okay. Here, take this. I reached down and grabbed the walkie-talkie, pressing it to Life's hands. Yes, it's a short sprint to the tree line. We need to get around the hood of the car. Then we can get into the woods as soon as there's an opening, okay? I can't do this, Bristol. Yes, Life, I'm sorry. You're going to have to. I gently opened the driver's side door, climbing out and edging along the way. I gently opened the driver's side door, climbing out and edging along the muddy verge, keeping low to avoid Blue Jay's line of sight. Life climbs out after me, closing the door softly behind us, without making a sound conspicuous at every rustling leaf that passes underfoot. I gesture for us to make out a way around the regular's hood. Life goes first, staying below the windows, working her way to the front of the car, passing around the corner. From the hood of the regular, we'll be able to make a beeline to the trees. Blue Jay, don't fucking play games with me! Before I can make a round to join Life, Blue Jay's impatience boils over. I can hear her footsteps on the rough ground as she makes her way over to the regular. Situation rapidly spiraling further from my control. There's only one thing I can do to stop her discovering both of us. Yes, we're coming out! I raise my hand and stand up, making my way to the back of the regular. Blue Jay stops walking. Before she gets far enough to notice Life, she turns to face me, raising the rifle to her shoulder. A moment later, I hear her Life burst from out of her hiding place, sprint into the trees. Life quickly realizes what's happened, and with a yell of violent frustration, she turns the rifle and faces the tree line. Life has already disappeared into the dark forest, out of range and out of sight. I choose not to attempt to rush Blue Jay in the midst of this distraction, and I'm right not to. Realizing Life is lost to her, Blue Jay quickly spins back towards me and levels the rifle at my chest. Blue Jay, I knew you were all in this together, you fucking monsters! Her eyes are practically bulging from their sockets. Her entire face contorted in macula, sickening, righteous hatred. After all these days on the road, I've never seen something quite like this. A.S. You're not well, Blue Jay. Blue Jay, no. I am just not willing to fall for your fucking tricks. A.S. How could this all be a trick, Blue Jay? How? Apollo, Eve, Bonnie. You saw what happened to them. It's beyond our understanding. Mine and yours. Blue Jay, there's no such thing as fucking magic. Only fools and fucking frauds. There it was. In one sentence, the trigger for Blue Jay's creeping instancy. The inflexible belief that had broken her mind was against a miraculous storm and contract. With every impossible event that she'd witnessed, every brutal death that had unfolded in front of her, Blue Jay, unwavering skepticism, had buried her from blaming the supernatural, from blaming the road. Instead, it had blamed us. A swiftly dwindling pool of conspirators whose crime had swiftly spiraled from deception to reckless endangerment to outright murder. As far as Blue Jay was concerned, we were the only monsters on this road. This wasn't madness, it was self-defense. A.S. It doesn't matter anymore. You can go home, okay? But just at least take life with you, please. She isn't a part of it. I'm not a fucking retard, Alice. Don't you think I've been watching? You're all complacent, and as far as I'm concerned, you all can fucking walk. A.S. I'm sorry. I just don't think I can let you do this. She lost a sarcastic, ugly chuckle, holding the rifle tight against her shoulder. Blue Jay. Can't see how that's your decision. A.S. Well, that's always been your issue, hasn't it, Dennis? You lack imagination. Set backwards and allowing gravity to carry me over the threshold of the steep, dark slope. In the last few seconds before I topple into the darkness, I clenched the finger of my left hand. When I'd been holding both of my hands up, my empty palms faced vertically towards her. Blue Jay could have easily mistaken the band around my finger for jewelry. As I fall backwards, Blue Jay's eyes fixed around my now closed fist. As she sees what's attached to the other side of the ring, a bottle opener, a small LED torch, the ignition key to the regulator. I disappear over the edge, bracing myself for what's to come. With nothing else to do, I surrender myself to the long fall, followed into the darkness by the enraged screams of Blue Jay. Okay, guys, so that was the end of part 7 of Has Anyone Heard of the Left-Right game? I hope you guys enjoyed it. I feel like I did a really good reading this, like better than I usually do, so I'm kind of proud of myself for that. So anyhow, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to my channel, and yeah, bye!